My name is Amelie Baudot. I'm a qualified solicitor in England and Wales and an attorney of New York State, and I recently passed the QLTS on my first attempt. I passed the New York bar in 2008, roughly 6 years ago, and I joined a large magic circle firm as a finance lawyer, both in London and New York, for close to 5 years, before I decided to move to England and have moved into an in-house role. I wanted to take the QLTS principally because I wanted to work in England and in London in particular, and I knew that being dual qualified could only help, both in terms of getting a job and in terms of my future career as a lawyer. I decided to take a preparation course with the QLTS school because I was working full-time when I was preparing for the QLTS, and I knew that having the structure of a course could only help in terms of the preparation process, and it turned out to be essential to that process. My experience with the QLTS school was very positive. The online tool for the MCT exam was particularly useful, especially the practice exams, which I ended up going through quite rigorously. I also found the QLTS school team quite responsive. I don't think I would have been able to pass the QLTS the way I did without the QLTS school. I found the preparation booklets for the MCT and the online practice exams to be, I think, the most useful of all of the QLTS school tools. I did all of the practice exams, and I don't think I would have been able to succeed on the MCT without going through the exams and the online tool quite thoroughly. I also really enjoyed working with the tutor for the OSCE. That one-on-one experience was really quite unique and extremely useful. In terms of preparation time, I think in the first few months I probably spent between 7 to 10 hours a week studying for the MCT. As the exam got closer, I spent more time, and by the end I think I was spending almost full weekends preparing. I also had some vacation time, so I had at least 4 weeks where I really tried to study quite intensely for that exam. The OSCE preparation course was a bit more intense. I think it takes longer, so you need to pace yourself a bit more. And for that exam, I probably spent about 4 months doing 10 to 15 hours a week. My company was very supportive of me taking the QLTS exam in general, which meant that they were very respectful of my study time. I was fortunate because I changed jobs in the middle of my preparation for the MCT, and I was able, between jobs and when I started, to have about 4 weeks of study leave. They encouraged me to study. They gave me Fridays off leading up to the OSCE to be able to study. So no, I don't think I would have done it without the support of my company. They were really great. I felt prepared coming into the exams. I think, as I mentioned, doing the practice exams on the QLTS school website, especially for the MCT, was really essential because nothing on the exam was really unexpected. So I went in there feeling confident. Like I knew the basic questions the basic structure of the questions they would ask, and there weren't any huge surprises. I think for the OSCE, having the one-on-one sessions with the tutor and practicing both the oral and the written exams was also essential because you didn't go into the OSCE feeling afraid of having someone lob in a question you didn't understand or a scenario that you hadn't really anticipated. Because I work for an English company and all of our documents are English law governed, without having passed the QLTS and becoming an English qualified solicitor, it would be very difficult for me to do my job well. People have much more confidence in an English law qualified lawyer, even if the law isn't really that different. I think that it can only help you. with my current job, I was halfway through the process of taking the exams when I applied and when I got the job. And I know that a big part of getting the job was telling them that I was going through the process and that I would hopefully, within a year, become an English qualified solicitor. I think that it was really crucial to getting this my current job, and it can only help my future career prospects. Looking back now on the preparation that I did for the QLTS assessment, I don't think I would have managed without the QLTS school preparation course. I mean, having the discipline of a preparation course was quite critical, especially when you're also trying to work full-time, which I was. I think having the schedule, having assistance in preparing the schedule of study, also having the discipline of having to provide written and oral examinations to your tutor for the OSCE was all extremely useful for me personally, and I don't think I would have been able to do it as successfully without taking a preparation course. I think the best advice that I can give to someone who's interested in taking the QLTS assessment is don't underestimate how difficult the test is and how arduous the process can be. I mean, obviously having a preparation course really helps, but you still have to put in a lot of time and a lot of energy, and it's quite intense. Even if your jurisdiction, as mine was, is quite close to English law, I think you can't underestimate how important the differences will be on that exam. And at least personally, I didn't ever have to take an exam that involved solicitor's accounts or tax. And to do that, in addition to criminal and civil procedure and EU law, was quite intense. So I would know definitely that you want to do it, and I think it's a great thing to do, but I would also be prepared for a quite intense time commitment. I would highly recommend the QLTS to anyone who's interested in a cross-border international legal career. I think that having English law in addition to your law of your local jurisdiction can only be helpful, at least in terms of commercial practice. So many transactions are governed by English law. It's really helpful. I think in general, as a lawyer in the 21st century, most of it is comparative law. So the more jurisdictions you can be qualified in, the better from my perspective. But I would only really recommend it to anyone who is prepared to commit to a year and a half of quite intense preparation. I think today's lawyer really needs to be flexible, to have commercial awareness, to be willing to find solutions to problems rather than just pointing out problems. I think more and more transactions are only getting more complex, and we need to be able to navigate obstacles and to suggest solutions. I think that the modern day lawyer should also be passionate about their job. I mean, there's so many people think that the legal profession doesn't necessarily bring very much to the table, which is definitely not true. So I think that we all need to sort of advocate for the benefits of having a lawyer.